good. Thank you so much for having me on your cool show.
My cool show. That's
Yeah.
so hilarious. I'm such a dag.
No, I really like it. It's awesome.
Oh, thank you.
Very new to all this technology, as in, the last 2 weeks or since everything's changed, it's suddenly just, online meetings every few minutes. And I actually have no idea what I'm doing, so don't worry about it.
Me either. So that's right. And congratulations on your book release.
Thank you very much.
So yesterday was the official
release. Yeah, so it was a really good day, actually. Everything's been, it's obviously, I think for everyone's been going through the same thing. But particularly with all the authors, we're all in the same boat with all our events and launches and things getting cancelled. And I think it's been a bit overwhelming the last few weeks, but this week has been really positive and really good. And I don't know, it's actually been really good. And I had a really good launch day. It was exciting, which is good.
It was so good. I enjoyed all the action from here which is kind of, you're juggling home stuff and then you're like, oh, look, this has happened, or that's
it's a lot, isn't it, to I think
it's great.
Kind of stay connected and just keep up with everything. It's all moving very fast.
Yeah. So have you got a copy of your book there?
I do.
Yes.
So here it is. This is the one that came out yesterday, Taking Down Evelyn Tate. So it's my second novel. So I'm very, very excited to have it published. It feels really good.
Oh, that's so good. Show us the back as well, because they're always, we go yellow.
Yeah, I know, right? Yellow. That's very cool.
It's nice. I love it. Lovely design.
Thank you. So my dad drew the picture there, which was really cool.
Wow.
And then my husband actually did like there's a little guitar, I'm not sure if you can see, and a little cat on the back, which my husband did. So it's a bit of a family affair. He did the little tomato plant on the spine as well. So.
I love it. It's so good. It's a really nice cover on it because it matches your first book as well. And I thought maybe you had the same.
Yeah, so my dad did the picture on this one as well. So the idea is, the designer at Wakefield, who's my publisher, she wanted them to obviously be a bit matchy, so you knew they're kind of similar vibes, but also just different enough to know that you can pick this one up without having read this one. So they're both standalone. So. Oh,
okay. So, but they're in the same world?
Yeah, they're both set at the same high school, which is like kind of a fictionalized version of a school near where I live that I just made up all the details about.
It's safe that way. Yeah,
I think so. Much better. The less reality, the better.
And so is it like the high school you went to? I know, because you're saying it's near where you lived, but you didn't grow up down in Adelaide, did you?
No, I didn't. No, I made everything up about the school. I actually grew up in a really small, kind of isolated cane farming community in central North Queensland. So, my family weren't cane farmers. They went out there from the city. They're a bit hippies, actually. We were the town's resident hippies, I think, when I look back now. So we moved out there just before I started preschool, and I lived out there, until I think I went to university, and we moved into like a nearby sort of mining town. But it's a really beautiful place. It's called Finchhatton. No one's ever heard of it. It's about an hour inland from a place called Mackay that some people have heard of. Yeah, there you go.
I'm in Brisbane, so we kind of...
of course.
Yeah.
It was just like rainforest and cane fields. It was a beautiful place to grow up, but it was very wild and different from the stuff that I write about now, which is, a bit more suburban and sort of seaside.
Yeah. Have you been tempted to write more about where you grew up?
Yes, I've got a manuscript that I've been working on, which, nothing's really happened with yet. I'm still trying to figure it out. Like it's a complete mess, if I'm honest.
Fair enough. That's what they should be, I'm sure.
Yeah, at the start. Hopefully it'll get better. But it is set, like really, really set, kind of in that area I grew up, right in the rainforest. And I'm pretty excited about it, but I really hope I can pull it together. We'll see.
That sounds really interesting, because I've got family who I had family at Mount Mee and out just past near Australia Zoo sort of area. And there isn't a lot set up there. I mean, I think Ellie Marnie's probably put a few, because we have Daybreak connections. Like there's a few more rural Queensland settings there, but it's not one that I know of that well. So
Same, actually.
And
A
especially
really
the hippie
beautiful book,
contingent.
yeah,
Normally, whenever it's rural, it'll be that hard, dry rural, like the dry land. We don't always
very,
hear
very true.
as much. Like, is it Janine Baker? Barker? Oh, I can't remember her name now. The picture books. You know the picture books with the window. She did the window picture book and the one set in the Daintree. But I mean, and obviously,
yes, I do. I know exactly what you're talking about.
The
I
collage
love those.
Picture books,
beautiful
which I will subtitle beautifully under us.
Good job.
But they capture that rainforest feel for me, but coastal. So again, you know, where my mum was, it was rainforest, but bush rainforest. So it's like bush, and then you went down in a ravine and it would be rainforest. And it was in one place, in one property, we had different environments.
Where I grew up was like this really long valley, kind of, you drive inland for an hour from the sea and it becomes, you know, just mountains on all sides. And the mountains are quite bush, but there's also a lot of very lush sort of rainforest and a lot of open space for the cane fields. I still think it's one of the most beautiful places on earth. It's really, really lovely.
No, I've totally distracted you from the book. That's really
that's a book you can't get. It doesn't exist yet.
I know, we're looking ahead. Okay, so what else do you have planned with your book launch activities for the next, how long is it, a couple of weeks?
I guess so. No, I mean, I think most of us don't really have a clue what we're doing, right? I don't. I don't know. Originally I had a few author talks, sort of booked. A group of friends of mine from my home city of Adelaide had sort of banded together. We all write in different genres, but we were kind of organizing some library talks, which have obviously been cancelled. And I was going to have a nice book launch at sort of my local bookstore, which is Dimmock's Adelaide in the city here. So obviously all that got cancelled, and that was sort of, I guess, what I was planning on doing for the launch. And then obviously, you know, just keeping up with social media and just being present and stuff. But now that stuff's, you know, gone, I've sort of just been looking around to try and see what else there is to do. And I guess focusing more on the online stuff than maybe I have in the past. So it's been an interesting experience. Like, really.
You've got the two to compare, because you did your debut in the traditional way, and now the online way. Are your libraries going online? I think ours have started saying that they're doing events. The libraries are doing their events online. So
yeah, definitely. I think they're starting to sort of transition here. I know there's a library sort of hub, Marion Libraries, and they had like quite a full-on program, I suppose, of author talks and things like that. So I think they're really trying to transition over. So hopefully I'll have some things coming up in terms of online library things and like live chats online, which I've never done before. I'm like, oh my gosh, you can't edit that. So that'll be interesting. So we'll see what that's like. And then I've been putting up, I didn't really know what to do during my launch week this week, so I just put up a whole bunch of little like Q&As that my husband helped me make at home.
Yeah, I saw a couple of these.
Pretty terrible, but just whatever you can do, right? I don't know
I love it. I actually feel closer to the people launching books this month than I ever have, because I'm seeing so much more online, and I can actually get an idea of who people are in person, which you don't really get unless you make it to the city they're in, or if they come to your city.
And you know, Australia's so big, and we all have these kind of like really great book communities, but they're also like little mini hubs. And obviously like Sydney and Melbourne have a lot bigger than, say, I don't know about Brisbane, but here in Adelaide, like we have a great community, but you know, it's very small, and we don't always get the authors from outside. We still do, they do tours and stuff, which is amazing. But I do wonder, like, everything with what's happening is obviously like a lot of negative stuff has happened, and a lot of terrible things, like in terms of impact. But I do kind of wonder in terms of that side of the book community, if there will be something positive come out of it, you know, in terms of changing the way that, say, we do it, so that maybe it is a little bit more centralized and connected, and you know, maybe authors in Brisbane or Adelaide can, and you know, Perth can connect with readers on the East Coast and things like that just a little bit better than it's all felt a little bit separated sometimes in the past. I think if you can't always travel for events,
if you're not big enough to have the paid tour or whatever to get around to the other cities, definitely.
So we'll see anyway.
And in terms of the virus, are you all in lockdown there in the same way?
Things are not as bad in Adelaide, is as my impression of what's going on in some of the other states. It seems just, I feel like they're a little bit ahead of us in terms of where they're at. And I kind of feel like things are probably going that way here. There's obviously a lot of pressure to stay home, but I think there's less, a bit less maybe rules about it. But I think, most people I know are all on lockdown at home. I've started working from home for the first time in my life, which has been really interesting.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I've always written my books and stuff at home, but I've never done like, actual, office work at home. So that's been really interesting transition. I think it's kind of good actually for me. I think it's suiting me. I think maybe I'm a true homebody, and I'm in danger of becoming a recluse. I think it'd be hard to get me, prize me back out of the house when all this is over.
This is my concern. It's like my kids are,
Right?
yeah, they're not. Well, my oldest is a bit bothered, but the younger one's like, great. So trying to get them to put clothes on is a little bit hard,
I totally get that. I'm just like, normally, you get all dressed for work every day, and now I'm like, why would I do that if I'm staying at home? Why would I not wear my pajamas all day? Like, there's no reason.
Pajamas are so comfortable.
Right?
I'm wearing harem pants. I got harem pants on, which I normally would wear at home, but because I don't iron them and I don't do a whole outfit that suits them, I'll just wear the harem pants and then something completely not matching. They're so comfortable. They're basically pajama bottoms.
That sounds freaking amazing. I love it. And why wouldn't you?
This is the good stuff. This is the good stuff. And then I think, right, if I've got to go to the letterbox, does that count as putting clothes on? Nah, I can go to the letterbox. You think, what if I walk the dog around the block? How much do I have to put on to walk the dog around the block?
So it's just expanding. And then when things go, start opening up again, it'll be like, oh, well, maybe I'll just go to the cafe in my pajamas. It's a local one, why not?
And then if you see someone when you're out and you're in the wrong thing, you'd be like, well, you shouldn't be out at the house anyway.
Yeah.
You deserve to see me in my pajamas if you're going to walk around the streets.
Clearly your fault.
And we're a thoroughfare. So we see a lot of people coming by, often going to the footpaths down by the creek and things. So we're watching the change in who's coming past.
That's kind of good. A window to the outside world.
A lot of very fit people in fancy gear that I've never seen, but it's because they're not at the gym.
Oh, of course.
People who sweat, they exercise until they sweat. I can't understand it. It's just horrible. I'm not a sweater.
Oh, I love that so much because I actually agree with you about that. I'm exercise, which is terrible.
And they look so serious as well. As this, oh my goodness, it's like the face I pull when I'm shopping. Oh, got to do this thing and it's really important.
Grocery.
I'm like, why? Just walk. It's really nice just walking. Why don't you just have a nice stroll?
No, see, I kind of get it because my husband, I love just going for strolls. I love just going for a walk. And my husband, he just doesn't understand it. He's like, if we're not going somewhere, we're not walking to somewhere, why would we do that? So I understand.
It is easier with a dog, I think. I don't know if I've ever gone for a walk. When I lived in the UK, I would, but there was always a pub at the other end, or it was snowing or something amazing. So there was an excuse to go for just a walk without an animal to make you. But a dog or a child, it's a great excuse to actually leave the house. And we've seen a lot more families walking around, and dads and very professional looking mums, all kind of doing the family thing. I saw one out about 8:30 yesterday morning. And she had her kids on bikes. You have one adult at one place and then half a K down the road you see a child and then there's another child on the other side and then you realise they're all connected and they've lost each other. And they have that hardcore look and I'm like, oh, they're doing exercise. They're doing homeschool. And they're like, right now we go ride the bikes. Oh, sorry, kids, I can't keep up with your bikes. So you'll have to do that another day. Go walk the dog. Oh. We're going to have such a fit dog by the end of this, I tell you.
Oh, he's going to miss you guys when things change.
Yeah, I'm just yabbering on to you. Sorry.
Oh, so that's okay. Okay.
Thank you so much for coming on.
It was so lovely to meet you, Anna. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh,
goodbye.
The number you have dialed has been changed.